What is up? Welcome to this week's episode of
What's up?
Lambgoat's
It's Lochie, Keogh.
Lambgoat's Vanflip podcast. Today, this week, I am joined by Lochie, and the last name has been removed from my mental brain. So you're gonna have to go ahead and repronounce that again for us.
Keogh.
Keogh, yeah, okay. Lochie
You're doing so
Keogh,
well.
vocalist for one of the bigger down under metalcore bands in the very recent future or recent past. But you guys have been around for quite some time, but you kind of popped a handful of years ago, at least for us over here in the States. But yeah, welcome to the
Yeah.
show, buddy.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and congratulations, because today this plays next week, but today you guys has dropped your newest single, "Whenever You're Ready," and I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's part of the new album. So
Yeah. Yeah. That came out, I think it was your time. So it came out at like 3 a.m. for us. So I just woke up and sort of saw everything.
hmm.
Haven't had a look at anything too closely just yet because I had to get ready for this. But yeah, um, third single for the new album come out last night.
Yeah. So do you guys plan that stuff on based on like American Standard Time, or is it just based like do you base things on
Oh,
Australian time for releases and stuff?
we try to do Australia, like we try to divvy it up for all the singles we have because we have an American label and an Australian
Yeah.
label. They each sort of want like their fields like tended to like with a song. There'll almost be like a bartering going on between the labels of which songs to release in whose time.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, so for this time around, we like let them get this one, and there's another single to come. I'm not sure where that'll go, but yeah, it's a nightmare for the guys who have to do up like actually upload the songs and do thumbnails and like
hmm.
graphics and shit like that and stuff that might need to change last second. Like Sabian will probably be awake at that time, but like I was not.
Yeah, I'm curious because one of the things that a lot of people probably don't know about like running a music outlet would be that Australia is ahead of schedule for like
Yeah,
releases for like us. So like, I follow some blogs and some outlets from, Australia, and I'm like, "Oh, so and so's got a new song coming out tonight because it's already out
yeah,
in that time
you
demographic,
got to
in that
check it
time."
out. Yeah,
So like, you're like, "Oh, got to get prepared for the new Parkway Drive song, or Alpha Wolf song, or whatever other Australian band is doing something." Or I mean, not Australian. I
yeah,
mean, music in general just comes out earlier there for you guys because
yeah,
you're ahead of time.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
wild.
really weird. It's really weird because when we jump over to another country, we don't get that. Like we had that weird privilege of like 18 hours before the rest of the world we could hear something. Like maybe sometimes it gets like the region locked even though like you're in the right time.
hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. And I always thought it was weird because that'll happen like we'll release a song when we're overseas and then our Australian fans will be like, oh, sick new song. And we just have to like not say anything about it.
Yeah,
We're not talking about it yet, guys. Like, chill. Like, and then once it like the world wakes up to it, we're just like, new song. Like, you
yeah.
got to curate the release like that. It's kind of annoying.
It's funny because like again, on the end of like something that would be in relation to that for us would be like if we release a story and it starts getting traction in the middle of the night, you can literally watch like your Google Analytics map start lighting up of like when the
True.
sun is rising.
Whereabouts?
You
Yeah.
can see like, oh, Southeast Asia just got the story and they're waking up to it and
All
stuff
right.
like that,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of
Yeah. That'd
funny.
be cool to have it
Yeah.
like that, actually.
So this is the third single off of the new album, Half Living Things, which is coming out, like you said, through Sharp Tone and Grayscale, which is your
Yeah.
Australian record label, April 5th. This is kind of like a little different than the previous two albums. It's a little more melodic. Not saying that it's softer or anything like that, but it seems to be a little bit more not heavy punch you in the face every second of the song.
Yet. I
Yet.
think yet like I don't know like everybody's been saying this but I just think we've like chosen our singles because of that I say that anyway like people still could like think the same thing after hearing the rest of the songs but I just think we haven't like we've chosen our like slightly like more like not left of field songs, but just like not the obvious Alpha Wolf ass
Mm-hmm.
beaters as singles, you know, like because people, I feel like people know we're gonna do that. They should trust that we're gonna do that, even though people have like lost faith from like the last three singles or whatever. I feel like people should expect that from us. So like for the singles, we're gonna be like, all right, we're gonna try doing something not too different, but like not extremely obvious. And then when you get the album, you'll get your typical fucking Alpha Wolf bullshit. Like, so
This-
it's still, in my opinion, it's still very much there, and we just haven't shown it yet.
Interesting. Do you guys find that your fan base, whether it be down under or like European or American fan base, has more to say when you kind of try to express yourself more creatively like that? Whether it's when a new, like say a fan from whichever area hears a newer song of yours that's not an ass beater, quote unquote. Do you
Yeah,
get more shit from different areas of the world, or do certain areas of the world not
I've
care?
been I've been wondering this. I do tend to think that Australia gives way less of a shit. Like something about the Australian fandom and this like pocket we've hit with Australian fans is like they don't like I don't think they give a shit about you being like the cool band or you being like trendy and like the listener sort of thing. Like I feel like fans get mad at bands when they stop being able to relate to the band or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we'll put out like a song with singing in it and then some angry fucking bro dude will be like, screw this band, like this is like pussy shit or whatever. Like even though it's still very much us, but I feel like an Australian fan just is just far more likely to just be like, yeah, fuck yeah, like I don't care either way,
Yeah.
like this is sick regardless. Like maybe they're just a bit more carefree. It's a lot less like yeah, I don't know. Like America's trendy like that. I think they like all their bands to be very cool and trendy, and Australia is very like no one really gives a shit like that.
Yeah.
Like everybody just it's a lot more like fun and free and I don't know.
Every
Parkway
band,
Drive.
yeah. Every band in America is cool and trendy, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I could totally see them being more apt to like throw some shade at like, oh, you have a clean singing in this song or a different melodic part in this song. It's not as heavy. But also I think Australians are probably just more stoked that a band, and this is my opinion, more stoked that a band from their little niche of the world has like crossed over, whether it's to Asia
Yeah.
or to America or to Europe. You know what I mean? I'm sure the crossover for you guys is like, oh look, there we are. You know?
Yeah, there's always that. I think that's why Australia gets like championed so much by Australia. Like even though you ask anybody and they say like Australia needs no help when it comes to like producing metalcore bands or whatever, like Australia is still just like thinks it's the greatest thing ever and just still like great like tells the rest of the world that these are the biggest bands in the world and it fucking works somehow. Like
Mm-hmm. How when
so
did when did Australia get hint of like? And again, you may be too young or not the right person to ask this because obviously, like, I want to know like how did heavy music make its way down there? Not just like for metalcore, but like was there always like a heavy metal vibe going on in Australia and it didn't like at some point in the 2000s you guys the younger generation just started picking up instruments and writing metalcore.
I'd honestly like, yeah, you're right. I'm way too young for that sort of question, but like, I don't know. There's always been that like fucking, I don't know, AC/DC, bro. I know they're not
Yeah,
strictly Australian, but
they're pretty
like,
big though and they're a big
just
band.
that, yeah, like that like, I don't know, fucking, I don't know. Australia's always been like hard and beer driven and punky and like
So
and
very Florida.
rocky,
It's
you know.
very
Like,
Florida, like very Florida based. You know.
yes, yeah. So like I don't know if that carries through into like a heavier metal sort of aspect down the line somehow. Like, I don't know, like Australia just has a bit of like feral energy to it. So I think something like heavy music is always going to like be birthed from something like that, you know?
Yeah, a lot of those feral places in the states are doing really well as far as like their little scenes go. Like
They're
Florida.
our best markets, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
every single time. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that too, because you guys kind of just started coming over when after the pandemic, or was it right before the
yeah,
pandemic?
pretty much after the pandemic, we like made America our home.
Yeah, you guys have been here, I think, since you're coming up on your fourth or fifth tour, I think, right? For
Yeah,
America.
yeah. I think it'll be like our fourth time and fifth tour.
Yeah, because
Because
one
one
got
trip we did
canceled.
two different tours there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Never mind. I did
Yeah, we
manage
didn't
to.
even count that one.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really does. I did
Yeah,
manage to catch you guys at one of the last shows at the smaller venue. So I'm curious to see like what kind of venue you're going to play this time around. But um, we saw you because I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, North Florida. So
yeah,
we saw you at Archetype, and there was a couple hundred kids there. But again,
yeah.
that's like such a small room.
That was
But
the fuck. Um,
and I can't recall who else you were with. But
it's literally just a shed in a lot,
yeah, 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 yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I know that
Kind
one.
of by the highway a little bit, off the
Yeah,
beaten
yeah.
path.
Literally, there's like a Wawa's down the road or something like
Yeah,
that, and that's it.
it's a pretty cool
Yeah,
spot though.
yeah. I do remember that. I remember having like a bowl at that show. I love that one.
That's when I was introduced to you guys live. I had never seen you guys live. I'd heard of you a handful of times since then, or leading up to then, because I was looking back through like our archive of like Lambgoat news, and I think we started covering you guys when you signed to Sharp Tune. So that was like the first
Yeah,
kind of like you
makes
know
sense.
we started picking you up a little bit. But when I saw
Yeah,
you guys live, I was like, oh, they don't bring a backline at all. Like you guys didn't travel with the backline. And I was like, is that a thing for like obviously they're from Australia, so maybe it's way expensive to truck over all the
yeah,
instrumentals, and backline stuff. So I was like, maybe they just don't do that. But then like I started seeing more metalcore bands adopt that and not have a backline plugging
yeah.
directly in. So I was like, I was really blown away by that. That was kind of, I don't know. Do you guys prefer that, or do you guys prefer a
I
backline?
mean, I've like it fucking makes no difference to me. Like, I don't like honestly, now that we're all on ears and everything like that, if we were using stage monitors and amps and everything, I'd still probably care about it. But it's all in ears now. Way less shit to load. But yeah, the main thing is like it is fucking 10 times more expensive trying to bring your own gear over. Like we'll do what we can with drums and bring as much of Mitch's kit as we can. But other than that, we just got like the Gats, the rig, and like we've everyone. What are they called? The new toys everybody got. Quad Cortexes or whatever. Have you heard of them?
Mm-mm.
I don't know what they are. They're amps. They're a whole backline in one. Apparently, they're about this fucking big. It's just a board with a bunch of buttons, and they do everything. Apparently, like, and you can rack mount them, and you don't need anything on stage anymore. So
Interesting. It's
yeah,
it's
but
a
we are. I think for it's either our Australian headliner or the American headliner. We are having a backline. We are doing a full backline just because like we're headlining and we can afford it and we have the room and we want to do like a full band thing. So
right.
yeah,
Now my follow up question to that is, will they be like plugged in and turned on?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, like functional. We
Okay.
are planning on having like because we want like two guitar amps and like we were gonna have two bass amps as well, but we're getting one of them and trying to turn it into like a giant boom box to fit like the album artwork vibe. I think that's what we're trying to do for one of them. Um, but yeah, that was our excuse to get amps on stage.
Interesting. Yeah, just visually was it caught me off guard, and
It's weird. I
I'm a
was like
little
that too when I
older.
first saw it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a little older too, so like it makes it. I was like, oh my god, that I don't even know what's going on. It doesn't even look like a show's going on or something like that. But
Yeah, it's all backing tracked.
well,
Like,
I didn't think that because I could see you guys. I mean, I could see you guys play, and I was like right there. So it's not like I didn't think like this was all
yeah,
Ronnie Radke laptop or something like that. I didn't think that, but it was just like I just oh man, I can't. It just was it threw me off, and so it took a
yeah.
couple bands for me to get used to that. I'm like, oh, this band just doesn't travel the back line. I know what's going on, but still, a part of me is like, I just want to see like
It
just
was
put it up there,
strange looking.
just
Yeah,
put a fake one
yeah.
up there or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just put a PA up there. I
That's why.
remember, who was it? I think I saw a Muir play over the weekend, and they have like zero things on stage, like
Yeah,
the cleanest stage I've ever seen. And it's so clean, it looks cool. Like, but it's also sort of jarring because it's just like this doesn't look like I'm watching a metalcore band right now. Like,
yeah. I
there's no
mean,
leads, there's no like fucking machines on the side of the stage. Everything's hidden and stuff. And it was sort of sick. Like, but yeah, I don't know.
we're just on that cusp of like changing, what the visual
Yeah,
aspects
I
of
can
these live
imagine
shows are going to
like
be.
older heads absolutely like lose their mind over it, cannot
Yeah, I mean,
handle
I
it.
tried to not be like that night. I was like, what is going on? This is absurd.
Yeah,
But no, yeah, I was like, the new kids, they know. I mean, obviously, it's different
yeah,
generations, different things. So it is what it is. It sounded great, and it was a great evening. So there was nothing was
yeah,
lost from not having a backline.
yeah.
But
That's all we care about, really.
yeah, do you guys think about that though when you're doing live shows? Like when you guys are planning ahead of that, did you ever like when someone gave the idea of like, hey, we're just like not gonna bring it? Did anyone like worry about what it would be like visually for the band?
No, I think it's just sort of trickled and eventually happened. Like we just started striking more and more stuff like for stage and like shrinking our rig. And I think we were just so excited that we didn't have to fly it that we didn't really care about any other sort of aspect of it. Like
Mm,
I think maybe we would like get to the stage and start setting up and be like, this is sort of like awkward. Like what side do we put the thing on instead of setting up both sides and having a full thing going on? Like, but yeah, I don't know. Like it's just sort of one of those evolutions of touring that you just sort of add a bit more to or take a bit from like
yeah,
every time. And then before you know it, that's just how you do shit regularly.
yeah. Um, we just talking about your third single, but I want to talk about your second single.
Yeah,
Sucks to suck with
yeah,
the famous At Final Level, aka Ice
yeah,
T, who is not only a famous rapper and body count frontman, but he's been on I don't know countless movies, and he's on one of those cop shows. I don't know which cop show it is, but he's on one of
yeah.
those SVU Law and
He's
Order
been on
things.
SVU for like 20 years and
Yeah,
running.
yeah. Outside of his own show with like him and his wife, some kind of Pimp Chronicles thing. I don't know what it was, but
Yeah,
that was good too. So how did that like? How did you guys link up with Ice T? And like, was that like you guys reaching out to him, or on the offshoot that
yeah.
like Body Count was
Honestly,
like, let's do it with them?
and no, it was quite fucking boring. Like, we just went the managerial route. We were like thinking about Jackie and like how many degrees of separation it takes to get to certain people because Jackie knows everyone
Mm-hmm.
somehow. Like, and uh, I just thought, I was like, in my brain, logistically, this should work. Like, Jackie should know
Who's
Ice
Jackie?
T or Jackie's our manager.
Okay, just
Sorry.
making sure.
Yeah.
Clarify.
Yeah. So she's our American manager. She's like looked after hella bands before. And yeah, through this like link, I figured out that she should have had some run in with someone in Ice T's team. And so I literally just like said fuck it. I was just like, hey Jackie, like, do you think you could blah 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 blah? And she's just like, I have his manager's number right here. I'll send this off right now. And then like within a month or whatever, we had heard back and heard that he was keen or whatever. And then I think maybe like a few weeks after that, they got in the studio and sent us that. So yeah, it was pretty like boring way to go about it, but I don't know how the fuck else you're supposed to run into IST
Yeah,
any other way.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, once it started, like apparently, like we didn't really have much like one-on-one contact with him until the actual video shoot. But like we didn't give him any direction or anything. We just said, obviously, do what the hell you want. And then yeah, that's just what he sent us back, and we're like, oh fuck, like sounds like he had fun. And then yeah, no, a few months later, we did the video shoot with him, and that was even weirder.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
how do
it
you
was like,
select? How did you come to how did you come to like
well,
selecting him?
we had someone else originally for it who was like honestly pretty perfect for it, but they bailed last second, and that was like I don't know. I wouldn't even call it a consolation because I feel like someone threw his name out earlier when the part was being written and just thought like we don't even need someone to like perform on this. I just want someone to come in and just literally talk shit. And then like outside of our first like option, like who was probably someone a bit like closer in our circle, and like I'm not gonna say because it'll fucking spoil the song or whatever, but it's like makes more sense for the band, I guess. Um, and so it wouldn't have been like as big of a wow factor. But like as soon as this popped up into our heads, it was just like, fuck, we should have done this from the start. Like, especially because it happened so easily. Like, and he
Mm.
was so keen to do it. Um, yeah, I don't know, it just worked out. Someone within our reach, someone who fucks with heavy music, we know that much, but someone also equally is outrageous.
um, how did you guys shoot the video? Was that something that where you guys came over here, or do you guys have to like juggle that with
So
on a
we
tour or something like that?
we did it in America when we were on tour with Motionless, but it was like 2 days. We had like 1 day shooting in St. Louis. It was so sketch. We're at some like abandoned high school in St. Louis, and we had to have like a ununiformed police officer on the grounds just lurking, just so no one would fuck with us. And then a few weeks later on in the tour, we hired out like a film studio, a photo studio, or whatever in like Brooklyn or whatever. And that's when we set it up the scene with Ice-T. And yeah, we get ready, and then dude just rocks up like Dolo by himself in his Rolls Royce, comes in, like he just says what's up, does his part, like hangs out for maybe an hour or something like that, and then just fucks off. Like
Wow.
gets back in his car, has like we see him on Instagram the next night is at like Heidi Klum's Halloween party or something like that.
Yeah. A little different from your engagement, but
Like, oh, like, um, yeah, no, it was surreal, man. Like, I honestly, like, thinking about it now, it doesn't feel like it actually happened,
yeah, I
but
can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
yeah,
What are some
yeah.
other like moments within the band's trajectory in the last like decade? Because you guys like for the most part, I mean, prior to you entering the band too, obviously, because there's other vocalists prior to you, but you know, there's been a grind going on for some time for Alpha Wolf, and I know a lot of people like even if someone were to visit Lambgoat or whatever, they wouldn't see anything prior to 2019, but you guys were around from like
Yeah.
2013 or something like that. So like, what are some things in your like trajectory that you like sat back and gone like, how the fuck did we get here? I mean,
Oh
obviously Ice
man.
T is one of them. So what's something on that level?
Literally, oh man, anything like that. Like, I don't usually like get starstruck that much that often. Like when I meet band dudes, and like you go to a festival and it's crazy the amount of dudes you meet. It's like a whirlwind. It doesn't like quite hit you.
Yeah.
Um, but like we met Corey Taylor like a couple times actually. That was like crazy. Um, I don't know. It's always just shit like that, or I don't know. You play like the most insanely like scenic venue. Like there's a venue in Salt Lake City, and it's just fully outdoors on the salt plains. You're playing to like thousands of people, and all you can see is like salt plains and mountains, and it looks like a fucking movie. Like that shit sticks out to me, I guess. Like I've met a million and one like cool metalcore dudes or whatever, but like they're just like like contemporaries now. Like they're just workmates now, I guess.
Right.
Like that, like that's still cool to me, and I really appreciate it or whatever. But it's just like it's the Ice-T, it's fucking Corey Taylor. It's like
Right.
I don't think much has happened beyond that. Like, what's his name? Fucking Head from Corn fucks with us. I'm
Oh
pretty
yeah.
sure that's pretty
Yeah.
tight. Like, um, but other than that, we haven't had anything too crazy. Like we haven't had who is it? Like Demi Lovato that just like fucks with heavy music or something like
There's
that.
a
Is it
handful
her
of
that's
them.
like
Yeah. There's
that?
like Margot Robbie, Demi Lovato.
Yeah,
Yeah. Billie
fucking
Eilish.
Courtney Kardashian wearing like a speed top the other day. Did you
Yeah.
see that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
bro? Like, yeah, that shit doesn't really happen to us, but like,
I feel like
um,
you guys could be one of those kind of bands because I think like, and don't take this the wrong way because I fuck heavy with new metal, but I feel like the new metal influence on like metalcore is something that like again like you were saying like those people who may not seem like they're interested in like heavy music, whereas like when Limp Bizkit and Korn and all those big bands were blowing up, early 2000s, late 90s, all celebrities and all kinds of people were wearing all their merch. So
Yeah, true.
I feel like new metalcore could be somewhat kind of like that too.
Yeah, it could be like the new crossover or whatever. I always think that, hey, like how Limp Bizkit were like a new metal band, but they had like beef with Eminem and shit like that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how that shit works. Or how they're a new metal band, but they have like fucking Method Man on their songs and shit like that.
Record labels.
And
You
yeah,
know
I
how it
guess
works now.
we're a new metal core bullshit breakdown band, and now we have Ice-T on a song. That makes perfect sense,
You're
actually.
just
This
following
is
the
literally tracking perfectly.
Yeah, you're just following their trajectory.
Yeah, I'm so fucking unaware.
Um,
Um,
Go ahead.
I don't know. I've got nothing to say.
Oh, okay, well, I'll take it then. So, what does it take for a band? Because like I was listening to Mitch and Sabian on the Downbeat. So I was listening to that a couple days ago or whatever, getting ready for this interview on my, that's me being a journalist or so whatever.
Taking notes, not doubling up on questions.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to have the same interview with you, but no, I think it's hilarious that the guy's name is Sabian and he plays guitar. And we'll get back to one of those guys, but the thing that I found interesting was like they were talking in the beginning of like how difficult it is for like where the band's from, like Tasmania. And I don't know if that's where you're from as well, or if you met them when they're in Melbourne or whatever. But where they're from, like it's very hard to become a band or very hard to break out of there. And then it's very hard to break out of like the west coast or east coast of Australia. And then I want to know like run me through like how hard it is for you to like not only play like your local area and become anything that pulls anything from your local area, but then like to transcend Australia altogether to get out of the country to Europe and into North America and everything. Like how tough is that?
Um, like the guys were saying, like I'm not one of the Tasmaniacs. Um, but like from there, definitely super fucking hard. Like I probably like Scotty and I grew up in Melbourne, and that's like probably like the epicenter of local live music back in the day anyway. So that was like easy, I guess. There was no shortage of shows to attend or even play. Like as soon as you started a band, like if you did not care about how shit the show was, you could honestly probably like play a show every other weekend. That was also the problem. It's like rife with shows and rife with bands. Like so you have to not suck to get some sort of attention.
Are these like local
Um
show like bands with just locals, or are there like touring bands
yeah,
coming
yeah,
down too?
super local. Like
Okay, okay,
maybe like one band from like Adelaide is down for a weekender and they'll be the headlining act or whatever, like, but still super local, like nothing over like, remember when everything was Facebook likes, like nothing over like 1,000 Facebook likes or something like that.
got you.
But then like, if Alpha Wolf ever wanted to play a substantial show, like they would have to like, even back being a local band, like still fly over from Tasmania to do one of these shitty Melbourne shows because like as shitty as they were, like they still weren't even happening in Tasmania. Like maybe once every 2 months or whatever, and Alpha Wolf would like beg to be on it. Probably not get it because everybody hated him. So they were just constantly flying over to Melbourne to do the shows until eventually they just started moving over there because it was easier than just like flying every single time. And then
How long's that trip?
at like 30 minutes on a plane,
Oh,
like
okay,
not
okay,
far
okay.
whatsoever. But like for a couple like 20-year-olds like working, trying to like gig and everything, it's an annoying fucking thing to do every weekend.
Are you flying with like
Um,
instruments and all your shit, or?
yeah, yeah, back time.
Oh,
um, and but I think from there, like any other major city you can play from Melbourne is like 6 to 8 hours away. Like, and then the next city, and then the next city, and then the next city. Like, you have to like I don't know like and then you have to smash it in those four cities that you can actually play in via car, otherwise they're not going to have you back. So I don't know what it is about like the touring in Australia that's different to America and how that forms a band, but like I would say it's a lot less fun in Australia. Like, you know, I don't know if that like grinds the band a certain way so that by the time they hit Europe and America, they're like steeled and ready for it. Like, because I think like, yeah, I don't know, like Australia is probably the hardest touring I've had to do, like
Hmm.
just in terms of like logistics and sleep and drive and time and everything like that.
That's weird. I mean, makes a little sense that it would wear on you a little bit more because there are long drives in America, but there's so many cities that you could hit. There's so many little
Exactly.
pockets that
Like,
have like scenes or whatever that you could break that monotony up. But like, yeah, like you said, if you're not killing it in those four big major cities, it might be a wash for you to come back to one
yeah,
of those. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah, it's so far to go to suck. Like,
Yeah.
so I think bands like they get disheartened from that, like it's a bit more of a hit rather than maybe driving like 3 or 4 hours like cross state lines to another place to
Mm.
having like a mid show and be like, all right, like at least I get to go home tonight. Like, so I don't know, like it's totally fucking different. I think it breeds bands like different ways. Um, but yeah, it's a totally different game, I think.
So how hard is it then to leave Australia? Like what level of bands?
Super hard, super fucking expensive. That's
Yeah.
like the worst part about it, man. Like to get to America, that's it. To just get us into your country past customs costs us like upwards of 20 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Like already down 20 grand. Like, and we haven't even played our first show. Like, and that's like, that's us pretty much getting to any of the major markets. Like, us to Europe is very similar as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that sucks immediately. Like no one else has to really deal with that outside of like Australians, like Europeans, maybe if they're on the far side, but other than that, it's still nothing like 20 grand. So I think maybe like bands just know that, so they are literally like hustling like the fucking rents do, because you got to save so much and it costs so much to get you here in the first place. You got
Mm-hmm.
to either be like already ready and killing it or like prepared to anyway.
Yeah. Most tours that we get, dates for or post about, they're very short. They're like a week or 2 weeks when a band goes down there. So there's not a lot of
Yeah.
places, like you were saying, to hit.
No,
And
fuck no. It's like five, like not even like you've got Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth. So five
that's
major
basically
shows.
the ones we hear about all the time.
Yes. And then like you'll maybe get like two or three sprinkled in between and they'll still be okay, but like definitely like B, C market sort of thing. So I
Interesting.
understand how it's like hard for an American band to come here and make money too. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, I would love to know what touring Australia is like for an outside band because I think it would fucking suck.
Well, I mean, you guys are touring. I think correct me, I could be wrong. Did you guys just wrap up the Imure tour, or are you about to do the Imure tour with them?
We're about to.
Okay,
So
you can ask
that
them.
starts in April in America.
Yeah, ask them. You know what it's like.
Yeah, actually, yeah, they were literally just here. I should say that.
Yeah, he said it's the
I
last
don't know.
time.
Literally, Frankie entered the country and then started tweeting about how much he was no, but never coming back here.
That's what I
Did
was
you
just
not
saying.
see
Yeah,
that?
he's not coming back. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's not a big fan apparently.
Like I'll take that with a grain of salt because he's like a moody motherfucker.
But
But
hey,
like,
maybe he realizes maybe like you just were saying how difficult it is, and so
yeah,
maybe that's logistics. It's all based on logistics only. He has nothing. That's
I
all it is.
imagine. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Um.
Then yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. Coming to Australia as an American, I'd probably fucking hate it too. Just trying to picture it. Like it would probably just annoy me. Like
This is a bunch of drunk Britons down there, dude.
yeah, literally everyone is just like too much chaos. I think.
I think I would be okay with it because again, like I live in the Australia of America for the
I
most
was
part.
gonna say, being from like Florida, like every time I'm in Florida, I think I'm home, sort of
Yeah,
thing. Like Florida feels like Queensland. If
it's a
you
vibe.
like you go
It's
there,
a
you'll know
vibe.
exactly what I mean. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
You
I
can
was
like
gonna ask.
communicate with the locals via like tongue clicks.
Yeah,
Like,
just like whistles or even gang signs or whatever. We could do all that.
yeah, it's universe.
We're very well versed in all those things. But yeah, as a band who's toured all over, not only America but the world, but like, where are some of your favorite places to be in America?
I do really like Florida, like outside of the shows, which are always really sick. Like, is it like Tampa with the chickens walking around the
Yeah,
streets?
yeah,
And there's like
Ybor.
dudes with like lifted buggies with like gigantic subwoofers on the back of them.
Tampa's great. Tampa's like the best part of Florida. This is my personal opinion, so no one get upset. But I was born and raised here in Jacksonville, which is North Florida,
Jacksonville.
just right below Savannah and Brunswick, Georgia. So like
Yeah,
we're like South Georgia basically. But
yeah,
like
okay, yeah,
you have us, and then you have like Miami, right? Miami's a
yeah.
completely different ball game when it comes to like.
That's like the LA of Florida,
Right,
right?
right. So then you have
Yeah,
Tampa, which is like, it's a little bit hood, it's a little bit
yeah.
redneck, it's a little bit high end. It's great. It's
That's
got a
exactly
lot of
what I thought.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I used to live in Tampa for a number of years in my 20s, and I was like, this is where it's at, man.
yeah. I thought that place was so much fun. And like that's the thing. Sometimes we'll really love a place, but the shows don't rule there, so
Yeah.
it's like a conflicting thing. But like we love that place, and the shows really go off there. So that's lucky. Chicago is really sick. Like Chicago's our like number one city on all stats anywhere
Really?
you can read them. So going there, you to actually like feel it, like just one to one, like feels really sick. That and I don't know, it's just like a badass looking city, like sort of intense, like sort of scary, but just very cool
It's
at the same
Batman,
time.
dude. That's where they filmed
Yeah,
The Dark Knight. Yeah.
yeah, it's all like I don't know, built like the architecture and shit is like badass. It does looks like Batman, looks like
Agreed. Yeah.
Gotham.
I'm going there next week. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I actually love a lot of places in America. There's not a lot of places I don't like being in. The typical place, like LA sucks, I think. Like LA as a whole. But
Not
Sacramento
You're
rules,
not
I
shattering
think.
any new. It's not earth breaking
No,
news on this side of the world. No, yeah,
no. I think maybe like Australians will be shocked to hear that because they think it'll be like the coolest place ever, but it's like
it's
not.
it's so not the coolest place ever. California
Yeah,
I mean, like, I went to California last in August. I went to San Francisco, so it's NorCal, and I think I
yeah.
would probably prefer Southern California. I haven't been to Southern California in like a decade,
Really?
but yeah, but I think like L.A., San Diego is more my speed than like
Yeah.
NorCal, because NorCal just seems like they're so much different than like Florida people. It's like super
What's a
weird.
Nor? What's like a NorCal city? What's that?
Sacramento, San Francisco, like those
Yeah, yeah,
places
yeah.
on the upper.
Well, San Francisco itself is like sort of hectic, like
Yeah,
beautiful, but like scary and exhausting.
it was a cool spot, and that's
Um,
where I was at. I was in San Francisco, so it was a cool spot. But the people there, some of them are weird, dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you? Where is it? Fucking is it Roseville or Roseland, Roseville or whatever? That's like near Sac, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just like picture book suburbs, like Technicolor suburbs, pretty much. Like it looks like the most like storybook, like peaceful suburbs ever, and I love that because it looks so like American, like Disney,
Postcard, yeah,
like TV
postcard
American,
movie postcard type thing.
literally.
Yeah,
Like, so I really love that place. It's like sort of boring, but it's like it's cool to be in like California and in a nice like place in California.
and places in California are nice. Don't think they're not nice. It's just
Yeah, but the places tours take us,
yeah,
like yeah, this is all based on I'm not ripping on anybody's state like as a whole, where the tours come through, sometimes not in the nicest area.
no, of course not. Yeah, because
Yeah,
that's where the scenes and the art are going down.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where the grime is, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, for sure. Um,
Um,
Speaking of, we were just talking. I meant to touch base back on this, so I don't want to forget. But is it Scotty or Sabian that wears the mask?
Sabian.
Okay, so how long has he been doing that? And was that a pre-COVID thing that just kind of led on? Because I know, like, if you're into Japanese culture and shit like that, they wear masks all the time over there. So, I get it.
Yeah. No, he's literally been rocking that since before I was in the band.
Okay, yeah.
And like literally ever since I've known him, since they've been called Alpha Wolf, he's had some iteration of it, be it like he used to have a bandana that he would like fold and like wear like a because he used to be into like graffiti and shit like that.
Nice.
So he would just wear like graffiti thug wear on stage, and then eventually that evolved into the mask. And then fucking COVID happened and
He was
just
stoked
like
on that.
ruined his life.
No, he was
Yeah.
stoked. He was like, I could cash in on this mask stuff now.
Because now every time we post a photo of him, some dickhead will be like, "Take off the muzzle, snowflake."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just every single time you get something like that, and then
Do
there'll
you
be
get a
a
lot?
slew of comments underneath it being like, "He's been wearing it for 12 years," blah blah blah. Like just an exhausting fucking thing at
But
this point.
Americans,
Like
the
also,
Americans probably saying that don't give a shit. They just want to put their comment on and keep it moving, dude.
literally, they just see a mask and lose their mind. But yeah, like he's evidently never gonna drop it. Like
Yeah.
it was like a big like game plan of ours to just eventually start selling masks because that was like our thing. We were the band with the guy with a mask, and then COVID happened and said, "Fuck no, dude!" Like every band did it, and then we were just like, "All right, we're not even gonna try."
So you're like the only ones that
And
aren't profiting off the pandemic. I like it though. You know what I mean?
literally, right? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like serious business. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know if he's planning on upgrading it to something else. Like
But I mean,
anytime soon.
the
Just
good thing about it is with COVID, the selection of the fashion, I like the selection of items available
yeah,
just through the roof for him. So he can endless
pretty sure
options now.
he's got like a connect with like a factory in like Kazakhstan or something that like produces them, and he gets them in bulk or something like that. Like,
It's big old fucking boxes coming to the house. He's sponsored by mask company.
literally, yeah, he's got like the sheets and he's designing like the stitch amount and everything like that.
Hilarious. We were talking earlier about Imure, and again, this might be prior to your time, but you may have some input on it. One thing I did find that was quite funny or interesting, I should say, is that I know the guys were in a band or were in this band prior, and they were kind of like
Yeah,
not necessarily like had a direction. They were just kind of trying things out in the early days of like the first couple of years of doing the of Alpha Wolf, but it was at like an Imure show that they
yeah.
kind of decided like, oh, fucking this, we're going like just strictly
We,
heavy, like everything's gonna
we
be
should
heavy.
do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Um,
it's kind of funny because like you guys are like crossing paths with Frankie and the boys. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's got to become full circle type moment.
Yeah, or even like to add on to that, one of it, like our first time outside of the country was opening a Muir Europe tour. Like,
Sick.
and I think we hadn't even released our EP with me. Maybe we had one or two songs out. And we weren't even supposed to be on the tour. Our agent like begged and pleaded and like just added like a fifth spot just for us. Like no pay, no spot on the bus, like nothing handed out or whatever. We just fucking paid our way, and it ruled. It sucked, but it ruled. Um, and then yeah, fucking 5 years later or whatever, we're taking them out in America, which is absolutely a full circle moment. I was never like the biggest Amure fan. Like I was probably like a hater back in the day. Like I was on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
Um, but could always see the influence in Alpha Wolf. And it's only now that I'm like, now that I've gotten used to like where the dudes like strike their influence from and how it gets worked into our music and shit like that. It's a lot easier to see, and it's a lot like it's way more interesting going back to the old records and being like, "Fuck, I thought my band had good ideas, but this is literally just an Amure riff."
Right.
Like,
There you go. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like garnered a new appreciation of it, and now I like fuck with it heavy, especially live. Like
Yeah.
something about, and I think this is definitely something that we are learning and like taking to, but like if you can make music that simple, like somehow that interesting and engaging live, then like that's sick, you know, like that's like obviously something Alf Wolf learned from. Because that's the thing, we don't do anything too crazy, like we're not that musically talented or whatever, but something about seeing us live is just like, oh, I get it now. Like,
Yeah, but I mean
this,
that's a lot of heavy music. I tell that to everybody because it's like hearing a band on records one thing or via streaming app because again, streaming apps or their songs are EQ'd differently, so it's not like you're not getting the full experience. But like
yeah,
CD or
yeah, it's
vinyl
not an intended
is
sound.
also a different experience. But when you're live, like again, because you have a back line and PAs and you can feel the
Yeah,
sound waves,
a
it's
vibe.
different. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So that would definitely one of those bands for me. And then I think we became one of those bands as well. Like,
Yeah, it's funny how like Imur and Frankie do get shit on, or have gotten shit on for like a by anybody their entire career. You know what I mean? That's not really into like that style of new metal or not new metal, metalcore, gent, or whatever you want to call it, deathcore vibes. But like you said, Imur has been, for better or worse, like a giant influence in like metalcore and like heavy music because it's
yeah,
and I've always loved that Frankie has unabashedly been a new metal fan, and I
yeah,
love I love that he's championed new metal even when it was like not cool because it's cool now. New metal's cool again, but that
exactly.
shit
Yeah,
wasn't cool for 20 something plus years. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I
And
was there.
it wasn't like unironically not cool. It was like not cool, dude. Like,
Yeah. Like Creed is not cool and Creed unironically is cool now or
yeah,
ironically cool now, but it's still not cool. New metal was cool, then became ironically uncool to not like it, and then now it's ironically cool. But it's still cool. It's just you guys are
yeah,
liking it for nostalgia or some weird other reason.
yeah, yeah. But back in the day, it was not like accepted.
Yeah.
You would get like rocks thrown at you. Um, yeah.
Shit
So it
ton.
is cool to be there with them now. Like, I'm so excited. I'm also scared. I remember like never wanting to send them the offer for that tour because I was just like, I feel like Frankie's going to tell us to fuck off. Like,
And he might as well
there's going to
could
be
he
like,
could might very well do that, but he seems like
exactly,
that kind
like
of
no
guy. But
one would have been surprised if that happened. Like,
he's a genuinely good dude too. Yeah, I've had him on the
yeah,
podcast too, and that was a very big surprise. I've been surprised by a handful of people that I've like in
yeah,
heavy deathcore and heavy metalcore that I'm like I'm not gonna like this person, and then be like, oh, I could talk to this person for another 3 hours.
yeah, they end up being a sweetheart.
Yeah, Frankie is one of those guys,
Yeah,
so it's quite memorable. And since then, I've done my duty to like listen and kind of like notice more Imure stuff because I was a fan in the early days, but then
yeah,
they're a band that's put out like I don't know almost like 5 to 8 records in the time that I've known about them, and I've
yeah.
listened to 3 of them, the first 3 or whatever. So it's one of those things where I got to get reacclimated to them.
Yeah, yeah. I think it might even be like the last record that I was like actually gelled with and had to go backwards from there.
Mm.
And I was like, but the guys, I'll be like, oh, like the guys will tell me what to listen to, and they're like, no, not this record. Like, listen to this record first, and then you might like that one. It's just like, why is there so much lore to a fucking new metalcore band? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of
when
that
you're,
too, with just metalcore. Like I've gone back and listened to like the early metalcore and hardcore albums, and I'm like, oh, I've just
well,
been hearing these
like
riffs.
Unearth and
No,
shit
like
like
okay,
that.
so like way before that, like because I came up
Yeah,
on that, I came up in that era of like early 2000s metalcore. That's what I was like. Oh, Atreyu
yeah,
invented metalcore, that kind of shit, right? Like whatever. But I started listening to like the other acts, like Dead Guy and Coalesce and all these other,
oh,
and I'm
yeah,
like, oh, okay, so they're just playing like they're Norma Jean is just being botch. I get it now. Yeah,
yeah,
you know what I mean? That
yeah,
kind of shit.
yeah. I remember hearing that, and I was just like, wait, hardcore is metalcore?
Yeah,
Listening to those bands, like, it's funny
yeah,
how that's happened now.
yeah. It's
And
quite.
now there's like a strange resurgence of like not that metalcore, but like 2010 metalcore is like coming back
Mm-hmm.
in a strange way, like with Space Cowboy and fucking
Yeah,
Boundaries and all these bands with their like machine gun breakdowns. It's
yeah.
really
I
weird.
when I was talking to Connie, I was telling her I was like, this was years ago. This is pre-pandemic actually,
Yeah,
when she was on the podcast. But I was like, listening to your band is such like a refreshing, because like, you know, it was like years ago, it was like 4 years ago now, but I was like, listening to your band now is like, just takes me back to when I was in the peak of like going to shows, going in my band, like, you know what I mean? And like, that's
Yeah,
like all the music was kind of was that kind of like weird jazzy mathy metalcore, you know what I mean? And that was like what
yeah,
I
with
liked.
just like the off the chain, like scratchy scream, like
Yeah.
with like the whine vocals in between.
Yeah.
It's so nostalgic. It's ridiculous. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, but then that's what I just spent the last couple years on, is just doing like more of my homework, right? Of like going back
Yeah,
to like what
where it
influenced
comes
those bands.
from.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy because, you know, hardcore is only like what, 30, 40 years old in general. So metalcore is way younger than that. And, you
Yeah,
know, if you do the legwork, you can find out where all their favorite sounds come from, guys. It's not that
yeah,
hard.
yeah. He's a like it can be a bit of a knob, but he's got good points. But that punk rock MBA dude, have you ever watched his shit?
Yeah, Finn.
Yeah, he like does really sick like timeline sort of retraces of bands and stuff like that. He sort of focuses more on like the death metal side of it and how that spawned a breed of hardcore and everything like that. But it's the same sort of thing, like tracking the lore back and seeing where these sounds came
Mm-hmm.
from. Like, yeah, probably something I should do as a metalcore musician. But like,
Who's
it
got
just
time?
seems like so deep, man. Like once you actually start,
Oh yeah, the hole is deep as shit. That's the problem.
yeah,
Who's got the time?
yeah,
But then you
yeah,
start
and
thinking
it's
about like all the like the older bands you'll never be able to see in general now. So why am I going to start listening to these? You know what I mean? That's where I
yeah,
find
and
myself.
they don't even have music that exists on record somewhere.
Or
It's
yeah, it's
just
definitely
like,
not streaming. Like most of these bands don't
yeah.
have it. You have to find a tape or some shit.
But how is this the most influential band of all time when they don't even have anything on wax? Like,
I mean, that kind of I can't. That's such a good argument, but you can have that argument on either side, to where like, oh, that they're that good, and this many people know about them, and they don't have music out, or they don't have like,
yeah,
you can't easily access their music. Whereas like
yeah,
all the Alpha Wolf stuff, regardless of if it's like a song, a split, or whatever, you can find it all on Spotify or download it or whatever.
literally everywhere. Like,
Yeah,
you
that's
can
crazy.
scan a QR code and it'll appear on your phone.
That's true. That is true. We'll leave it at this. We'll end with this. The new album's about to come out in April.
Yeah,
You guys are really keen on releasing a lot of singles throughout the entire time you've been a band. It's more like the Spotify release kind of plan,
yeah,
whatever that may be. You
yeah.
know, so you said you have more singles lined up. It's like, is this for this album? Are you releasing less singles than normal, or
I think it's going to wind up to be four, just like the last one,
hmm,
which I think it was. Um, I personally don't like doing that, but it's like, and there's always an argument about it because I love having like a bigger body of work to be viewed upon release date, sort of thing. Like,
gotcha?
there's still fucking eight more songs to listen to, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, it's pretty cool having like more of a surprise. But this day and age with like streaming, Spotify and DSPs and shit like that, it's just one of those games you have to play. Um, and yeah, like there's definitely bands that like release more singles. And I don't know, we don't know what every single time we release something, we don't know what the fuck we're doing with it. Like it's a different game plan every time and everybody's scrambling. But yeah, every time labels and managers are always just like, we should probably do four singles with four videos. And it's just like, oh, all right, fine. I guess we will. It's also exciting as well because every time you release a single, it's like another mini like celebration and like hype train for you bands. So it
That's true.
is all the more exciting. But like,
I agree.
yeah, no.
I'm in the middle. I mean, I agree with what you're saying about the bigger body of work, because that's how I grew up
For a
ingesting
listener,
it.
I think
Yeah,
like,
for sure. That's the
yeah,
thing for me as a listener. Like having the physical thing, and I don't really like to stream. I have like hundreds of CDs. Literally, like I still buy CDs. Like they're all right there.
yeah,
There's hundreds of them. You know what I mean? And so I like that, sitting down with that and doing it. But I also as like if I was in a band, I'd want to be in front of somebody as much as I possibly
Yeah,
could without doing the same thing, showing them the same thing.
exactly.
So it's a
Yeah.
weird world, you know what I mean?
And yeah, you see it too. Like it works. It does like
Yeah.
generate a good like big day for your album once it's finally out or whatever. But yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah, you just got to get on the right
Also,
gym playlist.
videos are one of the most expensive things you can do as a fucking band. So doing four of them every time you put an album out,
I
it's
was gonna
like,
ask, like, are you paying for those? Like, if they're suggesting
yeah,
the
of
videos,
course
you
we
guys
are.
are paying
Of
for it? Yeah, okay. Thanks.
course we are. We're always been a big video band anyway. So like the labels are always just like, "Oh, if you want to do a big stupid video, go ahead." And we'll just be like, bet, all right, because that's the only way we can do shit. Yeah, we're always going to focus a lot on videos, which is us like shooting ourselves in the foot, I guess, because then the label's just like, yeah, but we're doing four singles, so you need four videos now. It's just like, oh, fuck.
Well, how about we just get like a couple playthroughs and maybe one video?
We're gonna start doing that. We're just gonna set up a tripod and just get Sabian to edit it and be like, this is the third single,
Hey,
actually.
that's all you need. I mean, so many commercials in the Super Bowl are filmed on like an iPhone. You know what I mean? They put that
Yeah,
as a part of the fucking commercial, shot on an iPhone. So
shot on an iPhone. Yeah, we're gonna figure that out, and we're just gonna start becoming one of those bands. I think.
cool. I got
Uh,
one more.
yeah,
I got one more question for you, and then I'll cut you loose.
go on.
How annoyed are Australians at the movie Dumb and Dumber?
Ah, not really. It's probably one of the most quoted movies I've ever heard here. Why?
Well,
Is
just
there
because
some big
I would
Australian?
assume, because like there's just the good day mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie. Like every time I want to talk
Yeah,
to somebody in Australia, that is
yeah,
the first thing that pops into my
that
head. Like,
that
say
I
that.
mean that's on you. Like I was talking to someone about this the other day. Like Australians got nothing. Like the second you try to like get on someone, like Americans have a wealth of things that you could pick apart about them
Of
and their
course, yeah.
country or whatever. But then as soon as Australian opens their mouth, all an American has to do is go, no, no. And then it's nothing. Like we sound so dumb all the time. You can't articulate an argument against what they're trying to say.
Hmm.
Like, can't be like, "Oi, come on, mate, we don't sound like that." Like,
No,
you
you
have my
do.
fucking
Yeah,
voice. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like, we're welcome to any sort of criticism because one, we like take the piss out of absolutely everything, but two, we are the fucking joke anyway. So
That's hilarious. Well, it's
yeah,
good to know. I mean, because it is a
but
classic
also,
movie.
yeah, that movie is like huge here, just like it is there.
It's like, yeah, let's put another
I
shrimp on the
think
barbie.
I think the thing that pisses Australians off most about Americans is the whole like wildlife trying to kill you. Like
What
uh,
do you mean?
American American like assumes that every single being, insect with a heartbeat is trying to kill. Like you in Australia, like we have the deadliest insects and spiders and
Oh
animals
yeah, yeah,
ever.
yeah.
When we have like some spiders and snakes. We don't have bears, lions, like bobcats,
Again,
mountain lions,
again, you're talking to someone.
bears.
You're talking to someone living
Yeah,
in Florida.
yeah.
I live in like
Gators,
dinosaur
bro.
land.
Like, I mean, we got gators too, but you got gators.
We got
Like,
gators. We got bobcats, not mountain lions. We've got big cats. We've got snakes. We've got spiders. So
snake.
like, it's
Yeah.
just like being back home, man.
So actually, yeah, you'd probably feel it less so, but like that pisses me off. Like, because it's just like, are you dumb about my like animalia or yours? Because you should be more wary about the bears in the backyard if you think I should be worried about this spider over here. You
Yeah,
know?
but the bears don't really. I mean, bears are becoming an issue probably because they're just becoming more brazen, and
Then
they will come.
unionizing.
Yeah, they're coming to. They're walking up right now. They're stealing a lot of trash that way. They're moving trash left and right all the time.
They're
We've got
voting.
some. Yeah, they're soon going to be voting. Yes, yes, yes. How will they
But it's one of
get?
those things where it's like I like if I'm trapped in a room with a spider versus a bear, like I'm gonna step on the spider. Like I'm not gonna be able to step on the bear. Like
Yeah, I get you. But what I meant to say was most bears won't really attack you. Only like grizzly bears will really attack you, and that's because they just want to fuck you up or eat you. A black bear's
Yeah.
only going to eat you. A black bear's only going to attack you unless it's like really hungry. But I mean, like you shouldn't be around bears anyway. That's one thing. But
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, regardless of like, it probably comes down to you anyway. Like,
are you
how,
are you
like,
making a
you
dumb
get fucked up by
decision
a
or a
bear
smart
or a
decision?
spider,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
probably a human error thing going on right now.
Cool. Well, Lochie, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's
Yeah.
been a blast. It's been my favorite interview of this press release, I think.
Well, you can go tell everyone you said that. I'm gonna tell everyone you said
Oh,
that
well.
too. But yeah, good luck on the new album and again the North American upcoming tour. I don't think you're coming here, but you're going to be in Florida, so hopefully
Yeah.
maybe I'll try to swing by and check it out and see you guys in New York.
Come through, let us know, hang out.
Awesome, sounds good, brother. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you later.
All right. Thank you very much, bro. You have a good day.
Take it easy.